Hey podcast, just before we get you to this episode, I wanted to invite you to join us at pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and we want you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair, and we'd love your input on how to do that. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, whack in your email address, and let's get you to this episode.
I'm Chloe Lake. I am, or I was, Miss Galaxy Scotland 2018, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project. I've got with me Miss Galaxy Scotland 2018, Chloe Lake. Chloe, welcome to the show.
Well, welcome to me. Thank you for having me, Adrian.
It's going well already.
Oh, we're off to a great start.
It's 6 a.m. for me. What time is it for you, Chloe? It's like 7?
It's just 10 past 7-ish. I've literally got in from work about half an hour ago.
Chloe has flown in through the door, fueled up on coffee. I've woken up, fueled up on coffee. Obviously not enough, but in both our cases.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering where I am, the answer is my car, because my home has power, but internet. And that colour that you're seeing on my face, which I'm just seeing now, that's because we've had really bad bushfires here in Sydney. And the sun, about 5 minutes ago, was actually blood red, because that's how much smoke is in the air. So I can't do anything about that colour. That's kind of a cool backstory. But Chloe, let's get back to you. Let's start with the easy stuff. Can you give people an idea as to your pageantry background, why you got involved, the different ones you've done, etc., etc., etc.?
Yes. So a lot of newbies to pageantry may know me over the past couple of years as Miss Galaxy Scotland and obviously my Galaxy journey. But I've actually been competing. It'll actually be 6 years next year. So I started off as a teen contestant. I'd moved halfway down the country. I wanted to make new friends. I wanted to try something new, something different. So I entered a pageant called Face the Globe that doesn't exist anymore. I did a couple of heats and didn't progress to the international final, but it's safe to say that the pageant bug, it bit me and I was obsessed. I spoke to someone that was competing in obviously Holly Perry's systems, and they mentioned Galaxy to me. And obviously due to my mum being Scottish, I was eligible to compete for Miss Teen Galaxy Scotland. So that was 2014, and then the finals in 2015. Yep. So a long time ago now. I was blown away by Holly's system, and I actually placed second runner-up. And I was so proud of myself, and I thought, right, I think I'm getting there. I'm doing well. Yeah. And then I entered Miss Teen Great Britain on the word of Harriet Lane. She was like, no, you've got to do it. I'm going to do it. Let's do it together. Mm-hmm. And I then placed first runner up in Miss Teen Great Britain. I then was like, do you know what? I want to go back next year. This year's going to be my time. Placed first runner-up again, so sadly it wasn't. But do you know what? I think at that point in my pageant journey, that was where I learned a lot about myself. I had to take a big step back, gain some perspective, reconsider what was important, and almost relearn my why. Why am I competing? What do I want to gain? And then I actually entered Miss Great Britain. So not many people know this because it was quite short-lived, unfortunately. I was the reigning Miss Leicestershire Great Britain 2017, and a week before the Miss Great Britain finals, I was actually taken into hospital with such severe tonsillitis that my throat was closing up.
Lovely.
And yeah, not very nice at all.
That's what you need before a pageant.
I was absolutely heartbroken because Miss Great Britain, I'd got to know Kate Solomons and Gemma, who run the pageant. Their kind of office is based in Leicester, where I live. So they were really accessible for me. And I was really excited because I just kind of refound my love for pageants. I was like, yes, we're going to do this. And then I ended up attached to a drip in hospital. And sadly, it wasn't a drip full of coffee.
Oh, be so lucky.
So Kate was absolutely brilliant. She was calling my mum, making sure that I was okay. But the decision was made that, even if I was out of hospital by the time the pageant started, I wouldn't be well enough to kind of give it my all and do it how I do it best.
Yeah.
And then I kind of said to my mum, like, this isn't the end. Like, I'm not done. I can't do this pageant, but I want to compete as a miss. I want my time. And me and my mum had a bit of an in-depth conversation about Galaxy. And we were kind of like, do you know what? I really enjoyed it when I did it the first time. And I'm loving competing again. So I entered Miss Galaxy Scotland. I worked incredibly hard in the run-up. I worked with Rachel Tate. I, really invested a lot of myself into my journey, but made sure that my main focus was on enjoying it. So I didn't fall into the trap of being only in it for the crown. And then, do you know what? I had a completely different experience to the experiences that I had at Miss Teen Great Britain. I absolutely had a whale of a time. I threw myself into the rehearsals. There's actually pictures of me where I'd broken a nail or thought I'd broken a nail in rehearsals, and I'm sat there like, it's fine, I'm just going to smile through the pain. And
oh God,
the day just couldn't have gone any better. I walked into my interview and I was like, do you know what? This is me. This is who I am. We didn't even really discuss any pageanty topics with regards to appearances or fundraising, because I made sure that I wanted to leave the impression of the judges got to know Chloe Lake, not Chloe Lake, pageant girl.
Yeah.
And then my dreams came true that night. And when my name was called out as the winner and not the runner-up, I broke down into floods of tears, because I just thought, this is my time. This is what I've worked hard and been waiting for such a lot of years. And then when I was preparing for internationals, that was when I had my tonsil surgery operation. So I was out of action for about a month, and I was emailing Holly like, I'm so sorry, I promise I'm a good queen, I just can't actually get out of bed. But in the background, I was constantly, researching, watching the past videos of Galaxy Internationals and really looking at Maria's past queens and more thinking, how am I going to align myself with Galaxy? How am I going to kind of fit myself or pick the best parts of me that, align with the Galaxy system? And again, when we got out to America, I was just determined to have fun.
Yeah.
The whole time I was there, I don't think I was, I didn't even really feel like I was in competition mode as such. I just was like, this is my dream come true. Every activity, the white party, the pool shoot, the pajama party, I was just like, I can't believe I'm actually here. And when I walked into my interview for Miss Galaxy International, I was waiting outside, and then Ariana, Maria's daughter, said, right, Miss Scotland. And I just took the biggest deep breath. And I just thought, it's now or never. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to do exactly what I did in the UK. And lo and behold, I ended up winning the interview. And I think it was because I put no pressure on myself. I just thought, I want the judges to know me. I want them to think, that girl came in here, she was confident, she spoke to us as a person, she got to, she had a conversation with us rather than we're having a panel interview, you're interviewing for your dream job. Because of course that is the case.
Yeah.
But I think as a lasting impression, I wanted to be real, I wanted to be Chloe, and I think that worked out for me. And, when Joanna was the winner, I got on with all of the girls in Team UK, but I think taking my friendship with Joanna from that week, like that's the best thing that could have happened. I was over the moon when Jo won. To even be called into the top 5, I was like, that's it, made it. When I won interview, I was like, I'm happy now. But when Joanna won, I was like, yes, like this girl is amazing. She's Miss Galaxy. And there's pictures of me, and I feel like I'm almost in tears. I look like I'm Joanna's mum proud in the background, like, oh, that's my girl. But yeah, I handed over my crown in March this year. And since then, I have been focusing on kind of imparting things that I've learned, I've researched over the years through my little venture chat with Chloe. And I've, I think I've been quite successful. Some of my girls have been doing very, very well recently. And I think that's given me a sense of fulfillment that I don't need to compete anymore. I'd rather help girls get to achieve their dreams the way that I have been, and I'm achieving my other dreams.
Yeah, it's sort of come full circle. You're going all the way from teen, having your struggles, coming through to Miss, having your time, and now being on the other side, so to speak. I mean, I'm sure you probably will catch interest again and go back in at some point. At least
well, I keep joking. I keep joking that when Sam puts a ring on it, it's over for you, Mrs. I'm coming back as a Mrs. But Sam's got to put a ring on it first, so we've got time.
This is you're actually, if memory serves, you're the third person who on live interview with me has basically prompted their partner to go, where's my, and this is not my middle finger to be clear, where's the ring? And it's like, oh, that's awkward, but it's really, really funny. I mean, there's a lot that we can cover, but let's go into the interview first, because I was just hearing you speak, and I know that you own a law firm. You're a lawyer by day trade, correct? Right.
Yes.
On your way.
I'm guessing I'm on my way.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a long career path, as I understand it, at least here in Australia. But look, a lot of girls freak out about interview number one. And actually, Joanna was watching. She said Queen and lots of love hearts. And she actually said her interview, she doesn't like interview. When she came out of that interview at internationals, she came out and cried. So a lot of girls dislike interview, and then they do training, but maybe the training's a bit too robotic. They're told what to say, and they go into the interview, and it's basically memory dump. You seem confident, you are confident speaking, but you also mentioned that you're able to show who you are, which is like next level. It's not just being confident and being able to answer the question well, it's also being able to answer it from my perspective in a way that shows the judges, as you said, who you are. So what are some of the tips that you have to get people to that stage?
Oh, see, for me, what I try and impart on girls that have training with me is understand your why. So why are you competing? What do you want to gain out of this? And what does it mean to you? And I think once you know that, and once you can be really, really honest with yourself, like, for example, there are some girls that just want to win. That is fine. That is absolutely fine. And that, I can build on that. I can say, okay, you really want to win. Let's take that down a notch. Why do you want to win so badly? What's that going to mean to you? And I think when you understand almost the mechanisms behind you competing, you can build on it. You can say, so I did 60 appearances, and this is showing that I've worked incredibly hard because this title has been my dream for 5 years. But I think it's really, really difficult to be honest and to be real in an interview if you're not being real with yourself. And there's girls that I've kind of mentored for big competitions like Miss Teen Great Britain, where there's 60 odd girls, and they're freaking out going, interviews the biggest kind of where the score comes from. It's 50% of the scoring in that competition. And after a couple of sessions with me where I'm saying, stop stressing about the score. There's nothing to worry about as long as you really are being yourself. And there's been times where we've gone through practice questions and they're saying to me, I want to say this, but I'm not sure if it's right. I want to say this, but I'm not sure if it's right. And I think what I try and impart on anyone that I kind of help and I kind of mentor is there is no wrong answer. As silly as that sounds, if what you feel in your head is the correct answer or your answer to that question, then say it. And then what I try and help with is how we can make that a little bit more concise. Because obviously in pageants, interviews are timed. So what we don't want is to be waffling on and on and on. We want to make sure that we get to the crux of the matter in the best way possible, but in your way possible. So understand your why, understand your motivations, and don't be afraid of just being yourself. Don't think too much about whether something's right or wrong. There's been times in my interviews where, someone might have listened and gone, why on earth has she said that? I would never have said that. But that's the point, because it's my interview.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to dig into, in terms of giving an answer, not worrying about whether it's right or wrong. And that's a huge thing. And I think it improves with experience, obviously. I know a lot of girls worry about whether it's right or wrong from the perspective of, is that answer that I give, or is that the answer that would give me the most marks? I don't know if you have a question like this, but what if someone wants to give an answer that, let's say, may not be particularly popular? So, for example, I've seen a few questions on stage about Donald Trump, and obviously the question basically goes along the lines of, do you support Donald Trump? And I haven't ever seen anyone say yes. But let's say, for example, that you wanted to say yes. That's not maybe, let's say, politically correct. What would you ask your client or your student in that case?
So I am quite a political person. Obviously, it comes by nature being involved in the law and being, quite academic. And I have always kind of thought to myself, if a political question came up that maybe it's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, I would still be honest. I think as long as you have your own personal reasons, then that's fine. Now, let's just, take a step aside. I am not saying that I am a Donald Trump loving anything like that, because I'm very much the opposite. Sure. But I think, do you know what? There are people that support Donald Trump, and whilst I'm not saying I agree with them, I think it's far better to be honest and let the judges know that, if they select you as your winner, that's what they're going to get with you, than to sit in an interview or on an onstage question and lie through your teeth, and then all of a sudden, you win the pageant, and instead of a crown, you're donning a "Make America Great Again" hat. I think just be honest, just be real. Like I've said. I mean, I personally am quite left wing. So in the UK, we have our two main political parties, Conservative and Labour. I would say I err more on the side of Labour. That may be, not the norm within pageants, but that's me. And if that came up in my interview, then I'd say, I appreciate that whilst this isn't the view that everyone may share, it's my view. I'm proud of where I come from, and I'm proud of the political beliefs that I have that stem from my background. So whilst you may not understand that, that's me. And, if I'm able to share that with you, then that's fine. If you're not interested, then that's fine also.
Yeah. Guys, watching on Facebook, I know there's a lot of you, and I promise I will circle back to your questions. Maybe put them in a few minutes when I ask you to, because otherwise what happens is they scroll way to the top and I can't see them anymore. But I do want to dig into the question of politics, because, I mean, it's one of the things that in polite, you're told you're not supposed to talk about politics and religion and money. Those are the three things I talk about them, which is why I wanted to talk about them, because it's fascinating when anyone is willing to talk about them. I have noticed, because obviously I have a lot of UK girls on my feed, that politics is really, a lot of the younger generation, and I say younger loosely, like let's say anyone under the age of 30, is really they seem to be beginning to post a lot about politics. Not necessarily their opinion, but they're even just sharing. Examples of politicians from all around the world. And I think this is really interesting, because I'm someone who's been interested in politics when I was younger. But I think with a few of the things that have happened, for example, Donald Trump being voted in, Brexit, I think a lot of the younger generation are beginning to realize they need to take an interest in politics, which I think is great. In terms of your interest in politics, can you say where it stems from and what you think about young people needing to actually get involved in politics and know what's going on?
So if my mum's still watching this, she's probably sat downstairs laughing to herself now. She knows what I'm about to say. So my interest in politics predominantly came from my mum. She worked in the civil service, so in a government department when I was growing up, and she was heavily involved in the trade unions. So representing people if they had a dispute at work. it's an alternative to go into a solicitor. And so I saw a lot of what she was doing and started asking questions. I've always been really, really inquisitive. That's probably why I'm going to be a lawyer, because I like to ask questions and I like to get them answered. And then when I was studying, I did one of my qualifications, GCSEs in this country. So that's what you do when you're 16, was in history. And a large basis of that was political history. And then when I went to sixth form college and did my A-levels, I did government and politics there. And obviously with an interest in law, since I was 16 years old, I've known that I've wanted to be a lawyer. It kind of comes with the territory. And then I think when you grow up and you age a bit and you start to see more of the world around you, you start to, read the news, listen to the news, you then develop your own opinions. My opinions, sometimes they differ greatly from my mum's. And some of them, they differ from my friends as well. But I think that it's amazing now that younger people are looking and taking a stand and using their voice to say, I agree with this or I don't agree with this. I think especially with things like Donald Trump coming to power. I watched that election all night. I'd just gone to university, and actually some of the pubs in Leicester were showing the election footage, because there were so many people that were so interested. And I think that, 10 years ago, if someone had said that the most powerful man in the world would be Donald Trump, we'd have all turned around and gone, "Are you having a laugh, mate?" I don't think so.
That reality TV show.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, with Brexit, it's a thing that is so important, it's so divisive, but it gets the conversation going that you can't help but stop and take notice. You can't help but listen. And I think that that's happening now, especially in our country. It's happening in schools, it's happening in colleges. So it is inviting younger people to start to develop their opinions a little bit earlier, so that when they get to voting age, they're watching the news, they're deciding, do I agree with this party? They're asking their parents what their views are and why. And I think, yes, that's not just happening in our country, but I think it's happening around the world. And I, for one, am like the biggest advocate for it, because at the end of the day, we are now the generation that are going to be living through this, that are going to be seeing the results of Brexit, the results of Trump being in power. Unfortunately, as yourself, Adrian, seeing the really, really negative results of climate change. These are all things that we're going to be living through, and actually we do have the power to change. We just need to channel that in the right way.
Yeah, it's well said. I mean, it's really shining through now with people like Greta Thunberg, for example, or I think she was 14, I don't remember. She's very young, and that sort of impact and calling world leaders out, and a lot of them not knowing how to respond. And you kind of got, not to sound, but a lot of politicians still, at least in Australia, it's very much old white man syndrome. And I really like the fact that that's sort of been shaken up, and the leaders actually need to say what they're standing for and what they've done, versus just giving a lot of rhetoric. Because the young people can see straight through that, because they've grown up on media. So they know when you're using the BS. I know there's this video, for example, I don't know if you've seen it, of the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. And no matter what you think of her politically, she did this video, and it was very real. You can tell it wasn't kind to her. One of her people gave her like a 2-minute challenge, just list all the achievements she's had in the last 2 years in power. And so many people are sharing that. I think A, because yes, she's a woman, but B, these are real achievements. For example, when they had a gun massacre, a massacre in New Zealand, I think it was within 24 hours, she changed the gun rules within that period of time. And young people jumped on that, because that's a huge issue. Violence against women and children. You mentioned the environmental, the climate change, and all this. Do you think there's any particular reason why the younger generation is getting so involved in politics? Do you think we've just seen one too many disasters, maybe?
Maybe, but I think, as cringe as it sounds, and I hate using this word, I think almost showing an interest is becoming cool. It's becoming a bit more socially acceptable. Because I think when my mum and dad's generation were growing up, you didn't discuss politics openly, or particularly my grandparents. It wasn't the done thing. It was, you don't ask about politics, you don't talk about politics. Whereas now it's the complete opposite. I mean, you know, I see on my social media all the time, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, people that I've grown up with engaging in, you know, sometimes friendly, sometimes a little bit unfriendly debate.
Yeah.
So I think the socially, it's more socially accepted now to discuss it, and I think that's why more young people are getting involved, because it's not just, oh, you know, you support this, hush hush, or you support that, oh, you can't talk about that. And I think as well, you see a lot of celebrities using their voice. For example, in the UK, we have a grime artist called Stormzy. Last week, it was obviously the deadline for us to register to vote in this country for the next election. And he decided to take to his Instagram and use that platform to advocate young people, especially registering to vote. Yes, he decided to promote a particular politician and a particular party, but I think the fact that celebrities, famous people are using social media to advocate for politics full stop, that's a change as well. And I think you know, more of the younger generation are going to listen, are going to see that, and are going to think, okay, you know, this is something that I clearly need to listen to and I need to take heed of.
Yeah, that was a massive change that I noticed when Trump was in the lead up to the Trump election. A lot of celebrities got on the Hillary Clinton bandwagon. They literally did ads where it was just celebrities saying basically vote for Clinton, vote for Clinton, vote for Clinton. Okay, so I think it's the first time I've talked about politics, but I was just at least in a live interview, but I was really feeling it. I think it's very pertinent at this stage. Just before we get to the Facebook questions, so if you have any questions for Chloe, put them in now. Just before I circle around the motion reactive page a little bit, or Chloe in particular. So Chloe, can you tell us what you do outside of the pageantry, just in day to day? Give us an insight. What keeps you busy? Do you have any hobbies in the time? I don't know. Well, give us an insight, like behind the lawyer, behind the pageant queen. What goes on?
So, do I have time to have hobbies? Well, no, to put it bluntly. So I'm outside of pageants. Outside of pageants, I'm a law student, and for since July this year until at least August next year, I am currently working for one of the best law firms in the region. They're called Wilson Brown Solicitors. So we have Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. But no, I work in property law, and that was actually my first interview for any kind of legal job, and I treated it like it was a pageant interview. My boss didn't know that at the time.
You didn't walk in like, there... did you? You didn't walk in pageant and start with the crown on your head.
Oh, I did the full hair flip and everything. No. But the attitude I gave my job interview was, I'm treating this exactly like a pageant interview, and it worked. So I've been there for nearly 5 months. Since there, I've been involved in lots of different things. So I used, again, my pageant skills, helped one of my colleagues plan a big winter ball last month. I've been networking, social mediaing, all of that. Outside of that, I'm just a normal 22-year-old. I have a boyfriend that lives 3 hours away from me. So if I'm not at work, chances are I'm in my car, driving up north to see him and my family, because that's where I'm originally from. And I love to shop. I think if I had a hobby, it'd be shopping, or, as boring as it sounds, reading. That's really geeky to admit on a live interview, but I love books and I love to read. And also, I am a massive Leicester City Football Club fan. I'm a bit of a hooligan. So the pageant persona, the lawyer persona, goes absolutely out the window when I'm at the football match. I sound like a bit of a hooligan, a bit of a man, and my grandma would not be impressed by my language. But, you know, when we're at the football games, and anything goes. But that's something that I've always enjoyed. And it's something that I can do with my dad. Because my dad's like a normal blokey bloke. He comes to pageants to support me and watch me, but he's not about to tell me the difference. He's not about to tell me the difference between a Sherry Hill and a Giovanni. So our thing is Leicester City Football Club, and I love that.
Okay, look, first off, there is nothing wrong with reading. I think more people should read and broaden their education. Secondly, I was in Cardiff when the World Cup was on for rugby, and I know very well exactly how crazy you guys go. And this is coming from an Australian. I don't know if there's anyone who's crazy about rugby. I don't know what it's like for football, but rugby, it's just like you can't go anywhere. Every pub was people leaking out to the front, and obviously they're slightly inebriated, and you just everyone gets involved. But I mean, it looks great. It brings the whole city together. I mean, if you win, I guess you'll commemorate together, but same thing.
Oh, it does. Like so Leicester. I'm very surprised if you've not actually heard of Leicester City, because we defeated all odds a couple of years ago when we won the Premier League here in the UK. So that's the top flight division football, because we are a small club. We're not the big boys like Manchester United. Everyone's heard of Man U. Defeated all odds. We were a bit of an underdog, and since then, it's brought our city together. So I definitely see what you mean. Like it brings the place together. We celebrate together, we commiserate together, and we get behind our boys. Really.
Have you ever heard that old piece of wisdom that when it comes to supporting team sports, there's an unusual phenomenon of we won. If you win, it's we won, but if the team loses, it's they lost.
Yeah.
It's we won, they lost.
Oh yeah, but I mean, in our house, it's definitely we won or we lost, because I think when my dad and my brother go and watch the matches, we definitely know if they won or they lost by the mood that they come home in. Me and my mum are like, oh, they could have been a good mood today. So I think in my house, definitely we won and we lost.
Okay. All right, it's definitely part of the DNA of your household then. Okay, so guys, I'm circling around finally to the Facebook comments. Sorry, I normally do it more often, but on my laptop I can only see one thing at a time. So, Joanna Johnson has said, "All I love you," and she's crying again. Joanna's always crying. Rachel has said, "Chats with Chloe is the best. I would never have one person interview at TNGB without Chloe's support. She's a love you, Chloe."
Aww. Love you, Rachel, and obviously Joanna before as well. Jo knows I love her.
Well, you're the three psychos together, along with Lauren, who's okay. So Lauren has said underneath, "That's my bestie," with the emoji with love hearts.
That's my bestie too.
I'm trying to get the next comments. Give me a sec. My laptop is going not on Tuesday morning. Okay. Joanna has said, "Chloe, have your reign."
I mean, we'll do a fair swap, because I can't do my hair without Joanna. So if Joanna gives me her hairdressing skills, I will loan her my brain. That is fine. We can do that.
I'm remembering back when I interviewed Lauren, and Lauren, I asked between the two of you, because I think generally put which one's your favorite. And she said, "I needed my hair done. Obviously, Joe, if I was basically thrown into jail."
I think as a three, we complement each other, and we are very good. I think we've got all bases covered.
What purpose does Lauren serve?
Lauren is the most entertaining person I've ever met in my entire life. And also, if I needed someone to, hype me up and back me up, I'd go to Lauren. And also, I'm trying to organise myself and Sam to get to Thailand, but only when Lauren's there as well, so she can show me around Thailand. So she's going to be the cool. She's going to be the cool auntie to my kids that lives halfway across the world and only flies home for special occasions, bringing wine with her.
When you say she's entertaining, is this intentionally entertaining or unintentionally entertaining? Because there's a big difference.
So I think Lauren's just one of these people that doesn't have to try. I don't think that I'm like a funny person. So if I'm in a situation where I feel like I've got something funny to say, then I'll try to get it out. Whereas I think Lauren just doesn't have to try. She is just the most entertaining person ever. And to be fair, Lauren brings me out of my shell quite a lot.
Right.
She kind of bolsters me up a little bit and gives me a bit more confidence.
Okay. Let me go through these comments. Now, Ethlu Merit has asked to help with interviews. So, Ethlu, I think the best thing to... Well, actually, Chloe, so I won't put words in your mouth. So if someone wants interview training, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Via email or messages. Now, sometimes I go through stages where I'll get a million messages a day, so it's very hard to keep track of. But
Sure.
at the moment, I am currently arranging my diaries because I've got some girls, Olivia McPike, Bethany Blissett, who are all gearing up towards Galaxy in the kind of the winter spring. So I have got space in my diary, and yeah, let's get filling them. So just give me a message and give me an email.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck with Olivia. I'm sure you can understand her.
Do you know what? I am half Scottish, so unlike some people, I can understand a Scottish accent. I can, or I'd try very, very hard to.
I was just listening to some of our last podcasts. Again, I was trying to imitate Olivia. I don't know why I can't help myself. It's like a hobby that I have, is imitating Olivia McPike's accent. I was trying to imitate certain parts, and she speaks so I couldn't even keep up in my normal accent. So I might need to get her to slow down. But having said that, I was able to understand her, so maybe it's a good thing. She can get more into 1 minute than most people can in 5.
Exactly. That's always a good thing. But obviously, you can't talk too fast. But if you can, if you can speed it up a tiny little bit, then it means that you're making the most out of that time.
Exactly. I mean, she half jokingly said she could put on an English accent so that people could understand it. It may not actually be the worst idea, frankly, that I've ever heard.
No fake accent.
Yeah, fair enough. She does a good English accent, though. It's weird. Leah Wright has said Chloe helped Emily, and her interview was so much better than ever before with an X. Now, Esu has how much you charge Chloe. So I think that's probably better. Email or message Chloe, and then she can get to the pricing structure there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff here, Chloe. Lynn, your mum has said that she has first dibs or brains. It's really worrying. It's like a bunch of zombies, and they all want your brain.
No. My mum can't, because she knows that I need to be really successful so that I can fund her retirement. That's the plan. That is the plan. Sorry, Mum. It's got to stay where it's put for your benefit and your benefit only.
It's still going on. Joanna has said, ha ha ha, we can all share it. Lynn, your mum has said there's plenty of it for all of us. This is really worrying. I mean, they're talking about your brain here. Sounds like you're going to you shouldn't fall asleep. They're going to, take you to surgery when you're sleeping and take your brain to share it.
The worst thing is we're obviously all going to Miss World together in a few weeks. So I think I'm going to have to book myself a separate hotel, full stop, make sure there's sharp objects around, and kind of think about having a security guard on my door. Protect the brain up.
Yep. Get a bodyguard. Lauren has said, be respectful to everyone's beliefs and political views. I think a good judge will respect each delegate has their own views. That's very true. I was thinking more along the lines of girls being comfortable to voice views that might be unpopular with their audience or with social. Lynn has said, all my fault. This is going to be close. I'm not sure what you was talking about there. Okay, let's go. I'm going to see if I can find your question. Okay, so Lauren asks, what is your one pet peeve within pageantry?
Negativity on social media is my absolute. I really don't like it. We've all been there after a loss. We've all been there when we thought, this has not gone my way. I've worked hard. Why haven't I won? But vent at home, vent on text to your friends, vent to your mum and dad. Leave it out of social media. I think as a community, we get enough stick. We get enough, press from perhaps the
press
from the uber feminists that can't understand that actually pageantry is very feminist by nature. That give us enough rubbish for doing what we do. We don't need to bring it on ourselves. And I see a lot of it. I think I said this on the last Pageants and PJs, people that air their dirty laundry on Facebook, no. Being a past queen, I have a lot of people that I know of, but I don't necessarily know personally enough to read some of the things that they may put on Facebook in like a blind rage or something like that. And I'm kind of like, I now feel really awkward that I know all this about you, but I have probably met you once in my life.
Yeah.
So I those are my. I think social media negatives is definitely my pet peeve.
Yeah. That's been my last sort of 24, 48 hours without really having internet and power. Someone said there was this big thing going on in UK pageantry, and I'm not going to mention names, but some queen had her title removed, and someone referred me. I'm not friends with her. I was looking at the rant that she went on, and I was like, I can see where you're coming from, but just no. Like, I mean, there is this argument with freedom of speech, and that's an argument for another day. I do find it fascinating, the division between freedom of speech and having tact, especially as a pageant queen. It's not, you're not a radio shock jock. You are supposed to be a role model, so I understand this whole thing. I need to be perfect, I need to say the right thing. But where's I do understand it, but yeah, I agree with you. It's like, don't do it on social. Don't air the dirty laundry. That's no one likes that.
You've hit the nail on the head there. I am very vocal. Like I said, I'm very politically minded, politically aware. But obviously, when I was a reigning winner, I also understood the kind of standard that I needed to adhere to. So I would voice those opinions where it was appropriate to voice them. I wouldn't necessarily, do that on Facebook. And I think, every woman, of a coherent kind of age, we're talking older teenagers up to the Mrs. Understands what they're signing up for when they sign up to enter a pageant, and on the off chance that they may win, they know what they're what they're getting involved with. And I think that level of respect needs to be there. You sign a contract, there are rules, you adhere to those rules.
Of course.
There's ways and means. I engage in debate when I'm at uni. It's fine. I don't need to post it all over my Facebook.
Some people do, apparently. I mean, I will say, there's a difference between airing your dirty laundry and having an opinion. And I think it's very important how you state your opinion as well. These are all things that I think would be fascinating to delve into, but for the sake of it, I don't think we can...
That's one for another day. We could be here all night.
Cram that into like 20 or 30 or even an hour. Rachel Loss has asked, if you could go back in time and meet yourself first pageant, what would you want to tell yourself?
Do you know what? If I would just I think I would just sit and watch, because all of the mistakes that I've made, all of the learning curves that I've been on, as cringe and as cliche as it sounds, have brought me to this exact spot today. Not winning, trying and come in third, then second again, then not being able to compete has built me up to being this woman that, I think I have a lot to give, and I'm able to give that because of the journey that I've been on. It's helped me professionally, it's helped me academically. So I think I'd actually just sit back and watch, and I'd love to watch it over again, watch myself make the mistakes, watch myself have that light bulb moment and fall back in love with pageantry. Because ever since then, life's just been on the up.
Okay, going back to the brain thing, Lynn Lake has, your mum has said that actually is the plan. So, okay, I think you definitely need a bodyguard. Your dad has said, Chloe is right, I have no idea who makes what dress, but if I did, I wouldn't be the walking wallet. I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, so Dad thinks that he is a walking wallet. This isn't true. I've always worked since I was able to work. My dad is not a walking wallet. But no, he's my football buddy. That's what he is.
Right. Okay. Your mum has asked, how do you feel pageantry has changed in the UK in recent years?
Oh, sorry. Would you be able to say that again, Adrian?
Yeah, sure. Your mum has asked, how do you feel UK pageantry has changed in recent years?
Oh gosh. Obviously, to be obvious, it's gotten bigger. Which I think comes with both positives and negatives, as everything does. It's great to see that there are so many newbies at different pageants. It was strange. So I actually worked for Holly at Miss Teen Great Britain this year on the junior day, and some of the girls didn't know that I was a past winner of Holly's, and I was like, oh, am I really that old news? I handed over my crown 6 months ago.
News, yeah. That's cruel.
But yeah, I think it's difficult to say. I think I've noticed a lot more that perhaps, there are negative things on Facebook and things like that a lot. But then, you could argue that and say, well, that's because there's more people involved, that you see it more frequently. Yeah. I think the growth, it's not a bad thing. I'd love for pageantry to be as big in this country as it is in some places over the world, because I can't thank it enough for what it's done for me. And I see that from my friends, from girls that I follow, the things that it's been able to do for them. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely grown. And I think with that, it comes with perhaps things get put on Facebook more frequently. The competitions are harder, it's tougher. But at the same time, that's going to increase the standard. We're going to be sending, better girls to these competitions, because everyone's got to step it up. And that's not a bad thing.
No. I think personally UK pageantry is in a very interesting position. I think what you just outlined is somewhat growing pains. I think it means something's going to change. That's a good thing. Pageantry stays relevant, but obviously with your good friend Harriet Lane doing so well overseas, I think that's going to potentially inspire a lot of the younger generation to go into it. So I think UK pageantry is very, very well placed in terms of what's like. I don't know what will happen in the next, let's say 12 months, 24 months, but I think it's a super interesting time to be involved with UK pageantry, whether as a contestant or as a parent or as a coach or three. Lauren is us. If you're involved in pageantry, where do you think you would be?
If I didn't get involved in pageantry, where would I be? Well, I would have graduated, but I don't think I'd have had very much going for me. I'll be very, very honest. I am who I am today because of pageants. I'm able to walk into a room full of people that are at the top of their game professionally, and I can work that room. I know how to handle myself. I know what to say, how to say it, and also how to kind of make them feel like, that's Chloe Lake. I want to know a little bit more about her. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for pageants. I went to Myanmar last year to support Lauren, and I am the biggest wimp when it comes to spicy food, exotic places. Hand me a burger and chips and I'm fine. And I was sat in the street restaurants eating with chopsticks, kind of going, oh my God, this is so spicy, but at the same time, it's so delicious. And even little things like that, that's the kind of thing that pageantry's done for me. It's taken me out of my comfort zone in so many different ways. And I think that, I would have gotten a great degree, but would I have all of these other things that I can offer alongside that? No. So would I be on track to achieve my dream job? Probably not. And I think as, the biggest example of what pageantry has done for me is definitely that. I'm en route to being to achieving everything that I've ever wanted, and that's because of pageants. It's because I'm so confident now. I'm so comfortable in myself and who I am and what I bring to the table. And the only way that's happened for me is because I've competed in pageants.
Yeah. Okay. Just with chopsticks.
How am I with chopsticks? So I am actually learning Mandarin Chinese. I'm struggling to get to grips with it, but in my Mandarin Chinese class a couple of weeks ago, there was an activity with chopsticks. It's safe to say that I am nowhere near as good with chopsticks as I was when I was in Myanmar, when I was having to use them every single day, because I was kind of trying my hardest, and there was people in my class that were absolute pros. And the teacher actually gave me the baby chopsticks instead of the normal chopsticks because I was that bad. So let's not talk about the chopsticks.
Just a quick clue from someone who's been using chopsticks his entire life. The easiest thing, the bottom chopstick does not move, and you hold the top chopstick like you would a pen. And don't hold them too high up. The higher up you hold them, the harder. But a lot of people try to remove both chopsticks or move them sideways like crab claws. It's not, the bottom one doesn't move, and the top, and it just rests on your middle finger, and the top one you hold like a pencil with those three fingers, and it's like writing. That's the tip. I need to practice to see how good ones go. You guys at home, if you think you're good with chopsticks, see up a P Like just like one piece. You can pick up one piece with a chopstick, or even better than that, you can pick up an ice cube. It's almost impossible to do to pick up an ice cube with chopsticks.
I'm going to get myself some chopsticks at home and I'm going to practice, because do you know what? I felt like I'd learnt a new skill when I was in Myanmar, and evidently it's just gone out the window a little bit. So I need to up my game with my chopsticks.
For Christina Mitchell, what advice would you
go for it? As silly as that sounds, you will never know unless you try. Take the plunge. If you want to invest a little bit more, if you think, do you know what? Yes, I'm going to enter, but I want to enter and I want to kind of place. I want to win. I want to, be the girls that are the face of the competition. Then have a little look at training, self-development, watch YouTube videos, talk to people that know what they're doing. But you will never know unless you do it. And if I'd have, entered, if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be to do it so much quicker than I did.
If you're young, I mean, you're not old, 22. I mean, yeah. My younger days, you're only 22. It's like, oh, we got like a couple of years, you're teenagers. You're talking like
life is fleeting. Life is fleeting. My next big birthday is my 30th birthday, so life definitely is fleeting. But to be, I entered pageants when I was 16, and now I see girls that are 14, 15 years old, and they are so eloquent, so articulate, so confident, and I was never like that at that age. So I think that's, if I could tell myself to do something, it would be to have entered a pageant at that age.
Okay, we'll take one more question, and then we'll go to the final one from Lauren. Do you think everyone should get pageant training?
Do I think everyone should get pageant training? That is not to blow my own trumpet. Everyone should, chat with Chloe. No, I'm joking. I think if you want to take it seriously and if you want to step your game up, then the way to do that is through some kind of training. That may not be with a qualified coach. That may be just sitting and watching hours and hours of YouTube videos in a dance studio and modeling yourself on what you're seeing, videoing yourself, thinking, how can I do that better? I mean, one thing that I always tell my girls is to, when it gets closer to the pageant day, I'm like, sit with your mum and dad, get them to ask you questions. The only way that you're going to improve is with practice. So I think, if you want to be the girls that are winning, that are the Harriet Lanes of the world, Harriet has had training back in the day. She went to Indonesia to develop herself more and more. I think, yes, if you want to step your game up, if you want to be the girls that are flying all around the world, representing, England, Scotland, Wales, Great Britain, the UK, then yes, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with a coach. Training can be in, all sorts of different things. And I think as well, now that I have started to help girls and mentor girls, I will never call myself a coach because I am not qualified.
Right.
I like to think what I'm doing is mentoring people, is helping people. There are so many different trainers that don't have these formal qualifications, but have decades of experience. Have a look at and see what they can bring to the table. Perhaps, Maria Torres comes over. She's from America. She sees a different side to pageants that we have over here. See what you can learn from her. Look at the past queens. I mean, if I wanted someone to help me with my walk, I'd go to Lauren because, Jesus, we've all seen her. But again, no formal coaching qualifications or training qualifications. She just has something that she can share with someone else.
I mean, obviously, Lauren well. When she's just walking normally, can she walk normally, or like a human, or does she always walk queen style? I have a problem. I can't imagine Lauren just slumming it along going to the supermarket. Does she walk normally?
I think every pageant girl doesn't walk like a normal human being. Sometimes I catch myself when I'm at work walking around the office and I'm, my shoulders are back, my head's high. But I think that's because it's not just down to the walk. I think it's down to the confidence. So I don't think any pageant girl in the history of pageants, since they started competing, goes back to having a normal I'm walking around town, going to the shops, I'm keeping my head down. No, we're all about I'm here, the world is my runway kind of life.
I just have this image of you walking along in the hallways of your law firm, and then every now and then just busting out a spin, or going around the corner and working a turn into it. I just...
Do you know what?
Oh, don't tell me you actually had done.
No, sometimes I think to myself, because we have some a couple of really quite long corridors that I'm thinking, get myself into a strip here. I could, do a little spin here, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I think if I was going into a law firm, and I've been to one, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it costs an arm and a leg. But if I saw my would-be solicitor or lawyer strutting along the hallway and suddenly busting out a spin, I'd be like, yeah, that makes me feel better. It's actually a human being. She's not just a lawyer. So I don't know. It might work.
Do you know what? I feel like I need to create a personal brand. I need to be like the sassy solicitor. And my future clients, when I'm at the top of my game, I will, instead of just walking up to them and shaking their hands, I'm going to have to, nice to meet you.
I would say maybe don't do it in a courtroom, but I mean,
no.
Outside of that.
But do you know what? We've all seen Legally Blonde. We've all seen Elwood. Do you know what? I'm brunette Elwoods. I've even got the tiny dog. So maybe in the courtroom as well.
You do know that Legally Blonde is a Hollywood movie. It's not real, though, right? I mean,
I know, but
I hate to break it to you guys, but
I can dream. It's not like I've modeled, my entire 6 years of being a law student on being Elwood. Not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Okay, just before we go to the final 10, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to for supporting you along your pageant journey and just life in general as well?
Obviously Mum, but with Mum comes my other mum, Louise, and all my tens of thousands of pageant mums that I've gained along the way. But it has to be said, especially over the last couple of years, it's got to go to my psychos, because they are the ones that not only are gearing me up within pageants, but they're the ones that if I have exciting news at work, I tell them first. And I think we just have this like unbreakable friendship of like, we will be friends for the rest of our lives, whether it's pageants, whether it's work, school, hairdressing, traveling across the world to Thailand. We all support each other, whatever we do. And the next has to go to obviously Sam, my lovely boyfriend, that had better still be watching this, otherwise there'll be trouble. So we've actually known each other for almost 8 years. It's a bit of a childhood sweetheart story. But he came back into my life when I was working towards Miss Galaxy Scotland and took absolutely everything in his stride, to the point now that like he has his own friendship with Lauren and Joe and a lot of other pageant girls as well. And I think that's really special that he's been able to support me no matter what I'm doing. And then obviously you've got to look at people like Holly Pirrie. Without her, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be where I am today doing what I'm doing today. And, she has changed so many young women's lives, not just her queens, because she had changed my life before I'd even won. And, there are hundreds of girls, people like Harriet Lane. I was at lunch with her at the weekend and her family. These are friends that have become family and have become, my pageant family. I wouldn't be Chloe without all of the influences that these women and their families have had on me. So.
You just reminded me that I've collected all 3 psychos now as interviews.
You have. So I think, girls, I think you'll agree, we can make Adrian a 4th honorary psycho. I think that's it now. You've collected us all. We're like Pokemon.
When you initially said that, it was like, oh, that would be an honor. And then I thought about it and it's like, I don't think I can deal. Like, the stuff that you guys would chat about, I'd be like, oh my God. And
this is too much. I'm out, guys. I can't cope. I'm out. We're not that bad. We can actually be really positive people sometimes.
Oh, I'm not
sometimes.
talking about positive or negative. I'm sure you're positive. It's just sometimes, when girls get really excited about something and a guy just, his response is either or something like it's
Yeah.
monosyllabic. It's yes or no, but girls can have 100 messages about it. Like, oh my God, I just can't. But yeah, I mean, it'd be honorary psycho. I'm happy with that. I'll take that over an honorary doctorate any day. Okay. Um, Final 10. So your turn to be put on the spot, as it were. But they're not. Like, everyone knows what they are, so no one's on the spot. Question 1. What is your favorite word?
Hmm. Fantastic. I say that a lot when I'm at work. I'm on the phone to a client and I'm like, that's fantastic. Great, fantastic. I need to find a new word.
Well, that's the first time I think someone said fantastic. A lot of people say fabulous. That seems to be a UK thing. The fabulous. That whole fabulous thing. So fantastic is actually different. Oh, what about number 2? What is your least favorite word?
No. I don't deal well with no. I am a yes girl. I kind of go after what I want, and the answer always has to be yes, because if it's no, then I get very sad. Mum, Dad, Sam, probably Lauren and Joe, Louise probably have all seen me when no has been uttered. It's not a pretty sight. It's not cool.
Do you really get sad, or do you just start arguing? I have a hard time believing that you just get sad and you leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely not get sad and leave it at that. Yeah, the arguments happen.
Yeah. I figured as much. I mean, you're a lawyer, for God's sake. I mean, if you're not arguing when you get a no, what's wrong with you?
And that's why I'm going to make an amazing lawyer or a fantastic lawyer, because I never take no for an answer.
Okay. Question 3. In life, what gets you excited, or what turns you on?
Setting a goal and achieving it. So, especially over the last few years, all I do is I kind of make myself a little to-do list, and I work, and everything that I do is to that one goal, and when I kind of tick things off my list, I'm like, yes, but then on to the next one.
Yep, I can certainly sympathise with that. Question 4. What turns you off?
As difficult as it sounds, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and so if I feel like I am underperforming or if I've let myself down, then it's very much kind of what goes on in here. If I feel like, oh, Chloe, what's going on, then I get really down on myself.
Mm-hmm. Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
My little dog when she's asleep and she has these little snores and it's adorable, and I'm just like, oh, I love you so much, Pippa.
What's her name?
She's called Pippa.
After Pippa Middleton, or just Pippa?
Just Pippa.
Right. What sound does she make?
It's just like these tiny little sniffles, like, and it's just so cute. And it also means that she's asleep and not causing any trouble, because she is crazy.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
My alarm. Oh, I think the day that I retire and I don't have to listen to my iPhone alarm any longer, I think I'll probably still wake up and have some kind of PTSD over the sound, because it just, it sets my teeth on edge. No, give me 5 more minutes in bed.
What alarm sound do you have? Because my iPhone woke me up this morning and I was about to throw it out the window. What alarm chime do you have?
It's like the standard iPhone one. I actually think that it's on the advert for the new iPhone, and even that advert, I'm like, no, change the channel, get it off.
I hate the sound of the alarm. This is so much that I've lost my train of thought. Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
To read minds, because when I am a qualified lawyer, it would give me the advantage, because they would be thinking about what they were about to say and I'd already know it and be able to argue back.
Very, very interesting. Question 8. If you could have any one occupation other than your own, what would you most like to attempt?
See, I'd love to say a singer, but I am absolutely tone deaf.
Are you sure?
Oh gosh. I can't sing at all. If Louise Parkinson is watching this, and Lauren, etc., they've all heard me sing. It's not a pretty sight. I think Louise has got a really embarrassing video of me singing, and I am tone deaf. So if I could do something, I'd love to be able to sing. I'd love to be the next Beyonce, but it's just not going to happen.
Here's a question for you. I mean, out of the pageant girls that you sort of know, who's the best singer? Because so many of them protest they can't sing, and obviously sometimes it's true. But is there anyone that's actually like a real standout singer?
Oh my goodness me, Stephanie Hill.
Oh, of course, she's actually a singer. Yep.
She is actually a singer. But yeah, wow. Okay, just wow.
I have to have to listen to some of her singing. Okay, question 9. What job or occupation other than your own would you definitely not like to attempt?
A politician. This is why I'm going to be a lawyer, because I can implement the law. I think being a politician, as much as I love politics, it is the hardest job in the world, because you can't please everyone. And I like to try and please everyone.
You don't want to be a politician then?
I tie myself up in knots. And do you know what? I'm far too honest as well, because some politicians really aren't. I can't lie. My face gives me away every time.
Okay, well, what sort of face? What are we talking about? Do you have a twitch?
I just can't lie. It's like I go red. I'm looking all over the place. I can't do it. I think it's always helped me growing up, because my mum and dad would know exactly when I wasn't telling the truth, and then I'd get into more trouble. So I just kind of realised it's best to tell the truth, and now I can't lie.
Well, it's a good skill to really suck at then. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Congratulations, you've made everyone proud. I think like the biggest thing for me, I'm very, very driven, and I want to make something of myself, mostly to make like my family proud of me. You know, I come from a very, very normal working class family, and my parents, grandparents, other family members have all had to sacrifice and work incredibly hard to help me get to where I am today. And I think the best way that I can thank them is to do myself justice and to carry on, you know, accomplishing beyond my wildest dreams, so that they can see that it's not all in vain. And you know, if, you know, hopefully by the time I am at the top of my game, my mum and dad are still around, so that I can physically say thank you to them. But I think the best way I can, you know, thank my family members and the people that have supported me is just to keep on excelling, and to make their sacrifices worth it.
Yeah, you're certainly very driven. You might be the most driven pageant competitor I've ever interviewed, especially in terms of your career.
Driven by coffee.
Fueled by coffee. In terms of putting you on the spot, how do you feel about lawyer jokes? Because obviously there are a lot of them.
Do you know what? I love them. I actually follow a meme page on Instagram called Legal Cheek, and I'm forever like, Kirsty, who I work with, I'm forever like, look at this. This is really funny, or I find this really funny. No one else might find this funny, but I'm like sat here laughing away to myself.
Have you heard
Give me all the memes and the lawyer jokes ever, all of them, just all of them.
Have you heard any good ones recently, or any ones that come to memory? I always like a good lawyer joke.
Unfortunately not, because they're mostly about, there's been some about Kim Kardashian, about how, you know, she may be having the same struggles as little old Chloe Lake in Leicester. But yeah, if you want lawyer jokes, you've got to follow Legal Cheek on Instagram. It's good.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to circle back to the comments one more time. Speaking of Kirsty Mitchell has said, I can confirm that she does spin in the office.
Sometime. On a good day.
Sam has said, of course I am, so he is still watching. Lauren has said, girly Rand. Lauren has also, if Sam says no, he gets locked under the stairs.
Not even locked under the stairs. He gets to go in Pippa's bed. Like he would be in the bad books if he was not watching.
Your dad has said, ask Chloe how to spell no. She will say, why, yes.
That's true.
I knew the whole thing, like, you wouldn't get said. I knew you'd just start arguing. Sam has said he can also vouch for the scene.
Yeah, I think I've given everyone of like my close friends and family at least one headache in their lives from my singing, because I try with confidence, just really, really, really badly.
Yeah, there are some things that are just the genetic lottery, and some people can sing and some people can't, unfortunately. You can train it, but yeah, something to be said for talent. Harriet Lane has said, we already are so proud of you. And your dad has said, or does that mean no care home for me and mum then?
Yeah, so I think it's been an ongoing joke since I was about 9 years old, and I heard an advert on the radio for a care home in the northeast called Ormsby Grange, and from then on, I've always said, Mum and Dad, when I can afford to pay for you to be in a care home, you go into Ormsby Grange Care Home. So this is why I've got to be a successful lawyer, not to buy myself the handbags, not to go on the nice holidays, to put my mum and dad in Ormsby Grange Care Home.
I assume it's a nice home. I mean, because otherwise that just sounds really...
I don't even know. Do you know what? I don't even know. It's just...
Maybe
it's just
you should check it out first.
It's become family folklore now, so they have no choice in the matter.
Because it just sounds really quite bad if you say, yeah, Chloe, I know Chloe, she works really hard so that she can afford to put her parents in a home.
I love them. I love my mum and dad to bits, but they're already aware of this fact. It's been going on for 13 years now.
Right. So, Chloe, roughly how long do they have before you can afford to put them in the home? Are we talking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
A long time, hopefully. My dad's saying that, he wants to live to 100 so he can get a birthday card from whoever is in charge of the royal family at that time. So that's 50 years from now. Sorry, 51. Right. I'll get told after that. He's only 49. He's not 50 till next year. So 51 years.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I think that'll do it. So, Chloe, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me, and congratulations on achieving all of the 3 psychos. I
know, and you're interview number 80 as well. So you're a nice round number.
A milestone again.
Yep, milestone after milestone after milestone. Okay, so I'll keep you on the line for just a second. Thank you for watching, seeing your messages and questions. Chloe, I will say probably after this, go back through a lot of messages for you. It'd be nice to go back through.
Well, that would be absolutely lovely, and I'd just like to, obviously, whilst we're still on, just thank everyone for their lovely words. It really does mean a lot to me.
Perfect. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we will speak next time.
What's up, guys? It's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com, join our launch team for our review site. It's super important to all of us to make sure that the industry is safe, transparent, and fair. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, write in your email address, and we'll speak to you next time.